everyone, I hope you've all had a good week. I'm sorry for the lack of YouTube videos. I have had a few days off video making, whereas I have been actually building, and the speed build for the house that I was building over the past few days should be up on my channel fairly soon. It's massive. It took me about 9 hours to build. It's like a 7-bedroom house and the speed builds, I think I cut it down to around 50 minutes long, so good luck watching that. It's a modern mansion built where the land grabs usually live, so you can have a little look at that. It's on the gallery now if you want to go and download it. Also, in other news, my shell challenge is still up on the gallery. It's still active, so if you haven't had a chance to look at it, please do. It'll be great to have some more entries. I've already got 11, which is just incredible, so thank you so much to everyone that has taken part, and I'm going to reiterate that when I'm doing the tours. So far we've pretty much had every expansion pack covered. The basic rules of the challenge are that you can only use one expansion pack along with base game. Just take part. It'll be great to see your builds. Let's get into this video. So today I thought that I would do a little bit of a different challenge. This is a house, as you can see, it's a replica of the one next to it. This is a house that I built ages ago when I was first starting the channel, so I didn't actually do a speed build of it. It's just kind of a basic family home, really basic. Today I thought I'd do a tutorial on how to make your landscaping and your gardens in your build look really decent and usable, because a lot of people keep saying to me that their gardens are like the worst bit to furnish, and I totally agree with you. Sometimes it can be quite hard to furnish because you're like, what should I include, what should I include? As you can see in the one next door, that's kind of the look that I went with originally, but I thought that we would landscape this together and I'd show you some of the tips and tricks that I use when I landscape. So first of all, let's focus on the garden. So right here we've got kind of like a little patio porch leading on to the kitchen. For a family house, so usually a high fence is quite a good one to go for. We'll just go for a nice white fence. Now if you have a foundation, if you go like this from the house, obviously the fence will get a foundation too. Build the fence towards the house, because then you won't get that foundation happening. For a house like this, I don't think it needs a massive garden. You don't need to go into too much detail. It depends on like where you want it to sit in terms of the house. Sometimes just putting it like as a square where the house finishes and ends is quite boring, so you can maybe go a little bit further in. Actually no, we'll go to where the kitchen ends because that's where I've gone in the original house. So oops, one more, there we go. So this is our kind of basic garden here. Obviously you can extend that, because it's not a room, you can't like just put it out like that, you'd have to actually place it. This is our basic garden here. I don't think you need anything too big or too fancy. In terms of the garden, the good thing that I like to do, especially around the foundations, because I think foundations look quite ugly, is I like to put in a border garden, and you'll see this a lot in normal gardens anyway. So what I do is I use this kind of lower fence, the smooth keeper. So I usually try and fit it in with the colour of the foundation, and what I'll do is I'll just put it around the border of the house. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put plants in here. Then basic things to put in your garden. Some people put barbecues in there. Barbecues can be quite annoying because your Sims always go and grill hamburgers, but I'll quickly furnish the garden and then we'll mostly do the landscaping. Okay, so I've quickly put in some basic furniture for your garden. I've got the laundry day stuff pack, so I've put in a laundry line. This is a family home, so I've put in a wee kids, what do you call it? Monkey bars, that's it. And I put in a wee bench as well. Obviously if you've got a barbecue you can change this around, but this is just for the purposes of this video, so don't get too attached to this garden. Okay, so in terms of these border bits here, now usually I do terrain paint at the end, but I've made this mistake in which once I put plants down, I can never get the terrain paint to look as accurate as I want it to be because it always jumps around. So I'm gonna just put some Oops, see how it jumps? I'll just quickly erase that bit there. So I'm going to put in some terrain paint in this section here. Just makes it look a bit more realistic. I usually use this one because I think it's just the best colour. But in terms of your stuff here, you'd expect that people are like standing around it quite a bit. So I just gently touch around the bottom of garden furniture where it might be used a bit, especially around the kids stuff and swings and stuff like that. It just makes it look a bit more realistic. And then in terms of the whole garden, I just get a nice big square and just gently touch it just a few times. Just makes it look a bit more used. We're going to put in the border plants here. I'm just going to move this out the way for the purposes of this. In terms of plants, go to the flower section here, and I'll find just normal squares. Like this apple blossom here is always a favourite of mine. Now usually when you just click it, it only clicks one, which is super annoying because you have to go back and click another one. If you press shift as you're placing these, it means you can place multiples and you don't have to go back in. With bigger sections here, obviously it's going to take a lot of time to place multiples of these. So what I like to do is I like to enlarge them. So you can enlarge these by pressing the bracket keys. So obviously the left one makes it smaller and the right one makes it bigger, and it means that you don't have to do too much work. And I always like to overlap them as well. If you are doing landscaping, put on bb.move objects, because that means that you can place flowers on top of flowers. So in terms of just bushes, I like to just generally place them around. It doesn't have to be exact. I always like to size that one up. Don't go too overboard with it. What we'll do next is we will landscape the rest of the house and the front of the house. So in terms of trees, this is quite a good tip. It's to look at the trees around your lot. Because, for example, if I were to place this tree in this neighbourhood, it wouldn't look very realistic. As you can see, we've got like massive elm trees here, birch trees. It just doesn't fit. I like to find the trees that are in the area. It looks like they're using European birch. So this is a European birch here. So we'll place a few of these around. They also use oak trees too. I always like to place a big tree at the back. So as you can see, it just fits in better with the world itself. It looks like it's been just placed in the world rather than built. The landscaping here, as you can see, they've used these low-lying pale flowers and they've sized them up. I like to place them around the bottom of trees. Most trees don't just grow out of the ground with nothing around them. They grow around with tons of flowers and wildflowers and shrubbery and stuff like that. So these low-lying pale flowers are always good for that. Another one that I like to put on are these oopsie-daisies. Remember to hold down that shift key. So the same like I did with the back of the house, I'm going to do with the front of the house too. So we've done the borders for the house here. As I said, it just adds a bit more colour. I also like to use these window boxes wherever I can. Again, they add colour too. Next we'll do the path. Now terrain paint I don't think you get used enough. I really don't. The ones that I like are these pebble ones. So this here is to adjust the softness. So this makes it really blurry and it adds it in quite gradually. Whereas this one makes it a bit more finer, like the edges are a bit more defined. See that? So I'm going to make it a bit more defined and then I'll go around it with the terrain paint. I always like to place terrain paint underneath the trees. We'll go to our favourite garden bedlam one here. I generally use a circle and we'll go in fairly light and just gently tap around the trees. Also around paths here, as you can see, that looks really harsh. It's like a proper edge. Again, what I like to do is I like to go around the path. Maybe that's a bit too big. So just the very edges of the path and just add bit of terrain paint around the edge of the path so that it looks a bit more like it's been placed recently. It's a lot easier when you use terrain paint for paving. So for example this, because you can blend it a lot better. So I'll show you the difference, and we'll use quite a soft one, and we'll just gently blend the path. See how that just makes it look a bit more realistic? And we'll go around the bin as well. So that's my quick tutorial on how to landscape and do gardens properly. Obviously, this is just a kind of basic suburban house that I've got. As you can see, it's not hard to do. It's not hard to make your houses look realistic, like a family has moved in and made the garden really pretty. My general tips are, look at the world around you when you're placing trees and shrubbery and plants. You don't want to put something that's going to stick out like a sore thumb. Borders add colour and they make your build look a lot more realistic, a lot more lived in. And also size up plants as well, because sizing up plants means less work for you. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, guys, but I hope this helped. If it did, let me know in the comments down below. And if you enjoyed this video, please subscribe. And if you're really enjoying this channel, hit the bell and you will be notified as to when I upload a new video. I will see you all soon, guys, and enjoy the rest of your weekend.